It's always traditional at this stage in the video to introduce my guest today, except that my guest today needs no introduction. It's Gaggan Anand, who is the greatest living Indian chef in the world. You've probably heard of Gaggan Anand because he took Indian cuisine, he took Indian ingredients, he took Indian flavors and made them famous all over the world. He's had every accolade you can think of. He's had 2 Michelin stars. He's been #1 on the list of Asia's great restaurants. Many Indian chefs, when they travel, make the usual things with rice or they play down rice. Gaggan Anand, almost from the start, he's played up Indian rice. That's fair, is it not?
I think so. You always are biased towards me, but
that's true.
I have been carrying this in different formats, in different ways to sneak into countries where it's completely illegal to take this. But when people ask me one ingredient that you can't cook without is rice, and especially from Daawat. Indian rice is the longest grain rice in the world, and why do we just shy away from highlighting the length and the strength of the rice?
Tell me what you like about Indian rice. What is it that makes it so special?
I think Indian rice is like a small flower. The care you take to grow a flower is exactly the care you need to cook it. And I've spent the last 12 years discovering the rice.
But you've gone away from that traditional route. You've done unusual things with Indian rice. Tell me some of the things you've done.
When I started cooking, I was always told that the way we cook Indian rice is that you need an amount of fat, butter, ghee to make it separable. And I thought those were great techniques at that time of my early career. And I think this is my personal evolution because I've traveled so far. I've lived in Thailand for such a long time, which is a very strong rice nation. I've come from Calcutta, which is a predominant rice culture. And then going to Spain changed my mind.
So when you cook rice, what do you look for?
Age.
People always talk about aging rice, particularly with good basmati. I'm not sure people understand what it means. What does it actually mean?
I learned it by mistake. In 2012, I bought a pack of rice, and in Thailand that time we didn't have good rice, and I kept it in the freezer and I forgot about it. And after a few years I came, but what really surprised me was it was not a general length of rice that I see, and that's when I realized the potential of aging rice in a freezer. During that time also, I had also been to Japan where they age sake. So I used that and combined it with my own mistake, and I started aging rice in my fridge. And then I heard that Daawat was doing aging of rice. We spoke to the family and they said, yeah, we'll get on to this aging of rice of 3. And that's exactly my happiest moment because now I can commercially buy aged rice. It's the one that I use from the packet.
We're talking about basmati today, which is India's most famous rice and India's gift to the world. What makes basmati so special?
I think the length is the vital about using this rice, and it is exceptional how a 2 mm rice becomes 24 mm while you cook it.
Yeah.
Secondly, the touch. I like the texture of basmati. When you touch it and eat with your hand, the long grains kind of feel very nostalgic. And thirdly, most importantly, the flavor. The flavor profile of basmati is very, very interesting. Yeah. I think this rice has these 3 things that you don't get in all in one rice. And 4 things actually, and flavor. So these 4 things combined to one rice is a gift.
Okay, so you're going to cook something for us today?
Absolutely.
What are you going to do?
My biggest success is that I was cooking a few months back in Paris with the same rice. And one of the main journalists there who came for dinner, he said it was the best rice dish he ever had. And that was just because of the quality of the rice. We cook the rice as the last course. It's a recipe that we perfected and it changes every week depending on what goes on the top. Everything else below is the same rice, the same recipe and the same technique. The only thing that tops on is that week's seasonality. And that's what I'm going to cook for you.
So you're going to make the rice and then you're going to top it with a seasonal ingredient.
I think we are in the right time. We are in the time of white truffles, and I know you like white truffles. I like white.
So we're getting really fancy there.
Real fancy there. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be a white truffle. It can be a green peas. But this recipe applies to everybody in India.
But if you're cooking the best rice in the world, you should use the best ingredient. No?
Absolutely.
So why not vice?
Yes.
All right, great. Let's see how you do it.
So the first step is to soak the rice. To make sure the rice is exactly how you want, as a long grain, standing out. The most important part is that we have to follow the quantities. So starts with measuring the rice even before you soak it. So we take about 1 cup, whatever the size of that cup, where everything from here on is measured by this cup. Of that 1 cup, I take 2 cups of rice. The second step is to make sure that we wash it and soak it in a very gentle way. And that's also very important. When I soak the rice, I don't touch the rice. I let the water flow through it. The idea is to keep the rice intact, because the more you touch, the more you break the rice. Make sure that the water was at the clear stage where you could see the rice, and that's exactly the time when you take it out and leave it for 10 minutes. And every 10 minutes for 3 times, because we will soak the rice for 30 minutes, 3 times we'll change the water exactly in this way. I want to show you what we do, but this should be done 1 day before. The idea is we are impregnating the flavor of mushrooms into the rice. And we have these dry shiitake mushrooms, which is very easily found, or any of mushrooms. To that I add some whole onions, and I add hot water, not very hot, but before boiling, and we leave this overnight. And then what you'll get is a very strong mushroom stock. If I do that with carrot, you just have to boil the carrots. The stock has to be clear, not with too much of impurities, because we want the rice to be very clean and less dense. I only want the flavor of onion. You can put whole garam masala and leave it in hot water overnight also. And that water could also be, but the idea is to have a clear, almost like a consomme or a clear soup. Here we are, 30 minutes of soaking. The rice looks nice. It's already soaked. The water is still clean. I will just drain off the water. So now you can see the rice, none broken, white, clear, completely washed. Now comes the very careful step of measuring the rice and putting the mushroom stock. You can see the color, the strength is good. We measure the rice again. We initially took 2 cups of rice, but I definitely think the rice has grown up because it's soaked water. 1, 2, 3. So 2 cups of rice became 3 cups of rice after soaking, and now we have to make sure that we have 3 cups of rice into 1.6. That is about 4.5 to 4.7 times of stock. 3. Now salt. Here we go. And now what we do is we cover this lid. You preheat the oven at 210 degrees centigrade and then put this for about 30 minutes. So Here we are here.
It's done.
Yeah, it's done. 30 minutes of just be patient. Let's see. Travel makes you a better cook. In Spain, when they make a paella, the crust is important.
Right.
Massimo was saying, oh, the crust is important. For us, the rice crust is very important on the side also.
Yeah.
So I just slowly loosen the rice and look at this. Look at that.
Look at the size of the grape. I'm going to try it. So here's my question. How do you get this rice to taste buttery, to taste of basmati without putting any fat in it?
The rice itself has those qualities.
But you refuse to touch the rice, you refuse to bruise it, you've not done very much to it, you make the rice taste more of itself than before. That's a measure of the respect you have for the rice.
Absolutely. And let's make it exotic. We'll put some truffles.
You're going to put truffles on?
Yeah, I'll put in truffles.
You've got what? The world's most expensive ingredient, an Alba white truffle, famous for its flavor. You've got our own basmati rice. The flavor of the rice more than stands up to the flavor
Absolutely.
of the truffle.
It just complements.
So in a sense, what we have here is one of the great natural treasures, basmati rice, and perhaps we just don't appreciate it enough. Okay, it's not a complicated recipe. I do hope you'll try it.